Hello everybody, welcome back to another X-Men Level tutorial. Today we'll be doing a tutorial on LevelUp 737-800 that came out in December, I believe. And this is a wonderful plane. Basically the same thing as the Zubo, but I think I prefer the Zubo a little bit better because of it has the announcements and a bunch of other features, or I just haven't updated this plane. So anyways, let's just get this checklist started, and as always you can find the checklist in my Discord server along with all the other checklists. And the 737 checklist is called Zebo 737 checklist, so LevelUp Zebo, same thing, so just download the Zebo one. But anyway, let's get started. So the first step is to connect the GPU. It's going to freeze a little bit, and then set the chocks. So then I'm using ground handling deluxe. I already have the doors open, all the ground services, just for like show. You don't really have to have that, but it just looks cool. Alright, next step, battery guard. As in any Boeing, just close it and turn it on. Alright, everything will like sort of come to life. Now I like to turn on the panel lights because it just looks a lot better than just a complete dark cockpit, because that's stupid. I'll leave this one on this side too. Alright, that's good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the gear is down, has 3 green, and also up here, 3 green. Now, next we're going to go down here, and with this switch test, or like when this, where the switch is and it says test above it, move it to the left, default in off, and these lights should come on. And then fire, and you should hear a bell, and the candles lighting up. Next, go over here, and just move this left to right, and make sure all those lights turn on. Alright. Now we can turn on the ground power, which is basically the external power, or whatever you like to call it, and everything will spring to life. Let's wait for these displays to turn on. Right, there it goes. Next we're going to come up here, turn this position light to just steady. It's going to be at off, and you got to move it down to steady, like right there. Next we turn on the wheel well light. What that does is if you go into the wheels here, it should turn them on. I don't know if it's modeled up here, but that's for like the the exterior inspecting, but it's a simulator. I'm not gonna do it. Alright, next, so you can turn on the logo light if it's nighttime, but it's not, so don't. Next, turn on these electric hydraulic pumps. Oops, I did not mean to do that. And then the next thing is put the service doors and cargo doors open, but they're already open since I just kept them open. Next we're going to load the airplane. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to fuel, weight, and balance, and then payload. And let me go back to SimBrief to see what our payload's going to be. Today's flight is from LAX to San Francisco, if you are wondering. And the payload is going to be 18.4 according to SimBrief. I'm using kilograms because for some reason it's easier. For fuel, 6.1. I always add at least 1,000 more, so around 7.5. I just keep it like that, just in case. You never know. Next, what you want to do is you're gonna go call the fuel truck, and it should start loading that stuff up. See if you go to the performance here. You can see it's loading fuel in there, but it'll be done in a little bit. Not a lot of fuel to put on board. So, alright. Next, what you want to do is you want to close the emergency exit lights, or put it to arm. So just close the guard, and it should put it to arm, and this light will go away. Next thing, press attend and ground call. Just to test those suckers. Flaps, make sure they're 0. Then move the throttles all the way up. Make sure that beeping light comes on, or not light, sound. Make sure the engine fuel levers, or I don't know what to call them, but the levers that you turn them on when you're doing the engine startup, make sure those are off. Next thing, get on here, press test, and that should like make the bell and the lights, because that's for the cargo fire. If you have a cargo fire, but hopefully you don't. Next, make sure the rudder trim is 0. Make sure this manual landing gear thing is closed. And then what you want to do is you want to line the IRSs. Put in the nav, and then put this to heading status. It's going to take 7 minutes. I should have probably turned that thing down in the realistic settings. Okay, next when you align the IRSs, go to your FMS, and just clear that message. Go to FMC, go to position init, initialization, write KLAX, which is Los Angeles, and we're at gate 15. Click next page, click GPS left, and it should put that in the scratch pad, then put that in the empty letters there. Next thing you want to do is you want to test the lights here, so just move it up 1. And all these lights should turn on. Just move it back down to bright. Next thing, test the oxygen. And they work. Alright. So, next thing you want to do is make sure these are closed and press system test. Slow. And you should hear the pull up.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind shear. Terrain, terrain. Pull up. Obstacle, obstacle. Pull up. Airspeed low.
Alright, now I'm going to close the service doors but keep the forward entry open so the passengers can get them forward. And then I'm going to remove all this stuff. Driveway, hide. I believe it's still... Are we almost done? It's almost done fueling. Alright, so, on the Zebo, you would click start flight leg, but it doesn't let me on the LevelUp. So, yeah, just skip that. Or if there's an update I don't know about, please let me know. And then next is the FMC programming. If you fly the Zebo, it should probably be not hard. But go to route, put that in the origin, and then San Francisco is our destination, so KSFO, put that in there. Flight number is going to be Southwest, let's see, forgot what my flight number was, 3837. Put that in there. I don't have a company route, but you can by putting in the FMS plans folder and output in your X11 directory. And then, so you want to put your runway where you're going to depart on. So SimBrief says 24 left, but on VATSIM it could be different, or if you use Pilot Edge. So, now go to departure arrival, just click this button here, go to departure, select 24 left, with the Summer 2 departure, right there, and with the stock transition, that's what the SimBrief says, over here. And we don't have any, like, waypoints between the SIDS and stars, so we can just go directly to arrival. And it's going to be the Surfer 4. And see what they're using at San Francisco. 28 right. I lost 28 right. Now we can press activate and execute. Make sure if this execute light pops up, just press execute. Alright, now we're going to go to the performance. Click this and it should fill this in. And SimBrief says we're going to use 2.7 in this entire flight. So you could just do, for the reserves, just do 7.5 minus 2.7, and that equals 4.8. Let's put that in reserves. And the cost index is on SimBrief. SimBrief should tell you it's 17 for this flight, but 17. Cruising altitude is gonna be flight level 320. There's that execute light, so make sure you click that, and then clear anything it tells you, because it's just not true in my experiences in this simulator. And SimBrief set the average wind at our cruising altitude is 265 at 43 knots. Put that in there. ISO deviation, the temperature is 22 degrees Celsius. Just put that in there. And when limits, we don't need any D-rate. Actually, nah, it's fine. Just leave that blank. And then go to takeoff. And I'm using flaps 5. Click CG here. And then make sure you fill in your V-speeds, because or else it won't put them on the display. Alright, next the trim says 5.25. Let me see if I can get this. Kind of a guess, but about right there. Alright, you're done with the FMC. So what I do is I keep the captain on legs, which is like the your flight plan. Make sure you clear any discontinuities in there. That's important. And I always keep the first officers on the takeoff page. So how you can do that is FMC index takeoff. Alright, next step. Yaw damper. So that's going to be up here. Just turn that on. Then the fuel pumps once you're done fueling. And we don't have any fuel in the center pump. See, 0 in the center pump, so we can just leave those off because we don't need it. Alright, so then you just make sure that light turns on. I just turn it back to normal. We're about to be on AP power, but we're not yet, so I just put it on AP power anyways, and put this on battery. Fasten seatbelt sign on, that's obvious. Chime only goes to, or you don't need it yet, but there you go. Window heats, it's important. Turn that on or else your windows would fog up. It's annoying, trust me. Reset, make sure you use 0. Next thing, go to system and make sure that this is above 2,800, which it is. Put that back to engine. Trim air goes on. Packs to auto. Flight altitude, make sure you set that to your cruising altitude, which is 320. And for landing altitude, figure out the elevation to your arrival. KSFO San Francisco 13, so just keep that 0. Yeah. Alright, next thing, wheel light goes off and turn the wing light on. Engine start switch, make sure it's both. Doesn't really matter though. So next thing we know, we're going to set our courses in our MCP. So let's get our LAX chart up. Alright, so 24 left, the runway heading is 251, so I just set it to 251 just in case if our route just deletes, which has happened to me before. I'll set my course at 251. If you're on VATSIM, which I'm not right now, they could tell you to like fly a certain heading, but this is an RNAV departure, so probably not. Alright, next thing you want to do is some people add 15 to their V-speed, so what you're going to do is look for your V2 speed, which is 146. I just put that in the MCP, and when you click VNAV, it should do it. 146, and our altitude, I'm just going to put it up to 32,000 feet, but if you're on VATSIM, they'll sometimes tell you to like climb to like 5,000, and they'll give you clearance up to your cruising altitude later, so. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to leave that like that. Alright, make sure you turn the flight directors on, that's important. If you want to use the autopilot, you got to have your flight directors on. Make sure the autopilot disengage bar is up, and the heading bank angle is set to 25. Once you get above 30,000 feet, you're going to turn it to 10. Alright, next we're going to set our altimeter, and let me just find it real quick. I'm pretty sure SimBrief has it. Altimeter is 290902, so we can just leave it like that, but if it was, let's say 290906, you see your altimeter right here, by the way. You'll move this knob right here, just move it up and it'll move, but it's at 290902, which is actually standard. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it like that. Auto brake, put that to rejected takeoff, just in case. So if you put your thrust into reverse and you tap the brakes, it's gonna go like full brake, so you can stop on the runway if you have an aborted takeoff. But that doesn't really happen a lot. And click reset again. And then next, close the flight deck door because no passenger needs to really be in here. And 9. Alright, now we can just go ahead and close all the doors. Forward entry closed. I'm going to disconnect the gate from Sam. This is a payware add-on, so just disconnect that. And there it goes. Next we're going to start the APU. So go over to the APU switch over here, turn it to on, and then move it, hold it down to start for 5 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you can let it go. And then go over here and turn the APU bleed on. Next we're just going to wait for that to start up. The APU takes a little bit to start up, so yeah. I'm going to go ahead and plan our pushback. So pretty straightforward pushback. We're just going to push back over here. D4 left is literally right there, so kind of nice.
Ground to cockpit.
By the way, I'm using
Please show me where you want to go.
Better Pushback, which is a freeware add-on that every X-Men 11 similar should have. I'm just going to put it on this taxi line right here and click enter.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
I will leave a link for that add-on below. If you do not have it, you better get it because it's like the best add-on on earth. Alright, next we're going to go over our flight plan. So we just can put this over to plan mode. And just click step throughout here. Make sure everything's okay. Looks like everything's okay, so it's fine. Go back to map. Make sure that's at 10 miles for the captain and 20 miles for the first officer. That's how I like it. And the APU is ready to go. So when you see this light pop up, you just click these two, and everything should, like, you hear a noise and the light's gone. Then turn off the ground power. Then go over here to the tablet, go to ground services, disconnect the GPU and the shocks.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
And the pushback guy is ready to connect. And it's coming up to grab our wheel. Oop, did not do that. Next you want to turn on the anti-collision light, make sure everything's on. Packs, turn them off for engine start. If you do not have the packs off, this engines will not start, so make sure you turn them off. And the tow is connecting, and we're almost ready for pushback. You can see it raises your nose like 6 inches so you can move it. But by the way, the scenery that I'm using for LAX is
tow connected and bypass pin inserted.
It was like short final design maybe? I don't remember if it was short final design or Mr. X, but yeah, I think it was short final design. It's a paler scenery you get off the xplane.org store. Pretty nice, love it. Best scenery. Alright, we can just go ahead and disconnect our brake because we got the message too.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Once you start moving, I'll fire up the engines. So what you're going to do, go over to this engine start with engine number 2 first. Move it over to the left to ground. And you'll notice that if you go here, the N2 will start rising. Once the N2 gets to 22% or 18 through 22, you can put this lever up. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, I'm just going to put it up now. And then you're going to wait for this to snap back to off, and then just do engine number 1. Alright, it just snapped back to off. We're going to start engine number 1 now. Wait till it gets around 18 to 22%, then you can move the lever up. $15, $16, $17, and $18 that up.
Operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake.
Once you get that message, make sure you
Disconnecting
count
tow.
park brake.
Stand by.
It'll disconnect, and we're a little offside line, that's okay. Both engines have started now, so what we can do is we're going to turn on the generators, the engine generators. So there's engine 1 generator, turn that on. Same for number 2. Next, you see the APU turns off. So go to the APU switch and just turn it off, and that light should go away. Next, what we want to do is going to put the engine start switches to continuous, so one to the right. Next, put the probe heats on, so right here. Lights go out, that's good. Turn the packs to auto. The isolation valve, which is in the middle of it, let me get over to it so you can see it better. Put it to auto, and turn off the APU bleed.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have fun up there.
Alright, next one thing we want to do, basically the taxi checklist. Just turn on all 3 of these lights. Set your flaps, so it's going to be 5 for us today. Depends. I recommend if there's a shorter runway, you have flaps 15, so you have more lift. But if it's a long runway like at LAX, like 10,000 foot runways, I keep it at flaps 5. Move it down there, and you'll notice, if you know what flaps are, you probably should if you do flight simming, you come out of the back and provide more lift for you. Because at lower speeds, at takeoff speed, which is quite low, you need that lift. Alright, go ahead and turn the auto throttle on, and since we're on an RNAV departure, which is no like vectors or headings, so there's no air traffic control, so they don't have to give us headings to individual waypoints. You can just turn on the VNAV and LNAV. What the LNAV does, or lateral nav, it just follows the flight plan for you. So it'll follow all those waypoints and all the restrictions down. What VNAV does, the vertical nav, it complies with all the altitude constraints and speed constraints. See, let's say this altitude, it estimates us to be at 288 knots at 25,800 feet. Good things. Alright, now we're ready for taxi. Let me get my charts up. 2-4 left is right there, so I don't really need any charts, but we can just release the parking brake, give it a little bit of thrust to get it going, and just taxi onto the runway. Alright, we're coming up on runway 24 left. Since there's no ATC, I'm not on that, so I'm fairly offline. We don't have to hold short of the runway, we can just go and taxi on. So, landing checklist, you're going to turn the lane lights on. Or, sorry, takeoff checklist, turn the lane lights on. Turn the taxi light off. And make sure your transponder's at TARA. So it picks up other traffic around you if you're online. But since I'm not, you don't have to worry about that. And then start takeoff, before takeoff checklist. Now we're going to take off from 24 left and get a little bit of how we're going to line up good with the runway. By the way, if you're all wondering, I'm using the honeycomb yoke with the Bravo throttle quadrant with Thrustmaster rudders. Alright, as you see, I have exit checklists to remind me about the before takeoff since it's not on the checklist that I made. So, yeah, just put that there, that's good. Weather radar, transponder, TRA, that's good. Alright, I don't have to worry about that. But next thing you want to do is you want to put your throttles to 40%, so put that to where the 4 is. And then once it stabilizes at 40%, click the mic button right here. It'll give you takeoff power. And takeoff thrust is set. Try to keep it with the center line as best as you can. Keep pressure on the nose so it doesn't lift.
80 knots.
Cross checked. That's V1 and rotate. It looks like it deleted my V speeds, that's weird. Must have did something.
Positive rate.
Gear up.
Gear up.
Try to align with those flight directors.
400.
a nice takeoff. It was decent.
1,000.
Gotta gain a little bit of speed, so I'm gonna push the nose down a little bit. Alright, I'm turning the autopilot on now. And we're coming up on the flaps 1 speed, so you're just gonna move this up to flaps 1. Once it gets to up, I'm gonna move the flaps all the way up. And about right there, just move it all the way up. Next thing you want to do, landing your lever, put it to off, and then turn off the auto brake. That's everything for the after takeoff, actually. So flaps are up and stuff. I'll see you once we get to 10,000 feet. Alright everybody, we're passing through 10,000 feet, so we're just going to turn off the landing lights, the runway turn off lights, move these to off, the engine start switches to off, and the wing light. So, that's going to conclude our tutorial for today. I will make a part 2 where we do the landing and stuff, approach and landing, because it takes a little bit of learning to do like an approach in this wonderful plane. As always, thanks for watching this tutorial, and if you can, please like and subscribe. Only like 2% of y'all are actually subscribed to watch this video, so thank those 2%. Alright, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.